The alarm bells rang through the bridge of the stellar dawn. Captain Jinwoo looked up from his morning coffee as the red lights flashed across his ship. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Captain, we have an urgent distress call coming in, said Navigator Sumin from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. It's from the Valdorian Research Station near Kepler 442b. Jinwoo set down his cup and walked over to the main screen. The image flickered and then showed a creature with 4 eyes and multiple arms. This was Kexthara, the station director. The alien looked scared, really scared. Human vessel, please respond. Kexthara's voice came through the speakers. His translator made his words sound choppy. We need your help. Our situation is very bad. Something has broken free. Jinwoo pressed the communication button. This is Captain Jinwoo of the Stellar Dawn. What kind of help do you need? The alien's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Captain, we have a research subject that has escaped containment. It is destroying our station. We have tried everything. Nothing works. We heard that humans are good at solving impossible problems. What kind of research subject? Asked Dr. Yunji, the ship's xenobiologist. She had come to the bridge when she heard the alarms. A creature made of living crystal. We call it the resonance beast. It is 30 meters tall and creates sound waves that can break through our strongest walls. It has already destroyed 3 levels of our station. Engineer Hyan-ki looked up from his repair work. 30 meters? That's huge. What kind of sounds are we talking about? Sonic pulses that can shatter our hull plating. They also shut down our electronic systems. The creature seems to be made of pure anger and destruction. We cannot understand it. We cannot control it. Jinwoo studied the alien's face on the screen. Fear was easy to read, no matter what species you were looking at. How long do you have before you need to evacuate? Maybe 6 hours. After that, the structural damage will be too great. The station will break apart. The captain looked at his crew. Sumin nodded. She was always ready for adventure. Hyan-ki shrugged. He could fix anything that got broken. Dr. Yunji looked excited. She loved studying new life forms. We'll be there in 4 hours, Jinwoo said. Send us all the data you have on this creature. Thank you, Captain. But I must warn you, this thing cannot be tamed. It cannot be reasoned with. It only destroys. The communication ended. The bridge became quiet except for the hum of the ship's engines. Set course for the research station, Jinwoo ordered. Maximum speed. As the stellar dawn jumped to faster than light. Travel. Dr. Yunji began studying the data that Kexthara had sent. The information was amazing and terrifying at the same time. The creature was found on a dead planet, she told the others. The whole world was empty, nothing alive except this one being. The Valdorians think it might be thousands of years old. Maybe more. What does it want? Asked Sumin. Nobody knows. Every time they try to communicate with it, it attacks. Every time they try to study it up close, it destroys their equipment. They've tried energy fields, gravity traps, sonic dampeners. Nothing stops it. Hyan-ki scratched his head. If it's so dangerous, why did they bring it to their station? They thought they could learn from it? The crystal structure of its body is unlike anything they've ever seen. The way it creates sound could help them build better communication systems, but now they just want it gone. 3 hours later, they could see the research station on their main screen. It was a large structure floating in space near a blue and green planet, but something was wrong with it. Parts of the station were twisted and broken. Emergency lights flashed along its hull. Look at that damage, whispered Sumin. Whatever this creature is, it's strong. As they got closer, they could see the destruction more clearly. Huge holes had been torn in the station's walls. Debris floated around it like a cloud of metal and plastic. Docking Bay 7 is still intact, reported Hyan-ki. We can dock there. The stellar dawn attached to the station with a soft thump. Jinwoo and his crew put on their environmental suits and walked through the airlock. The station's artificial gravity was working, but the air felt strange. There was a vibration running through everything. Like the whole structure was humming. Kexthara met them at the docking bay. Up close, the alien looked even more frightened. His forearms were shaking and his eyes kept looking around nervously. Captain Jinwoo, thank you for coming, but I fear you may have wasted your time. The situation has gotten worse since we talked. Show us, Jinwoo said. They walked through the station's corridors. The damage was everywhere. Wall panels had been ripped apart. Ceiling tiles had fallen to the floor. Emergency lights cast strange shadows on the twisted metal. The creature is on level 15 now, Kekstara explained. It started on level 20 when it broke free. It keeps moving up, destroying everything in its path. They took an elevator to level 12. Through a thick window they could see into a large chamber. And there it was. The resonance beast was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Jinwoo had ever seen. It stood as tall as a building, made entirely of crystal that seemed to glow from inside. The crystal was clear in some places and colored in others, like a giant gem that had come to life. As they watched, the creature moved. It was graceful, almost like it was dancing. But when it touched the walls, they cracked and broke. When it made sounds, the whole station shook. My God, whispered Dr. Yunji. It's magnificent. It's a monster, said Kekstara firmly. Watch. The creature turned toward a control panel on the far wall. It made a sound that was like singing and screaming at the same time. The sound waves hit the panel and it exploded in a shower of sparks. You see, it destroys everything it touches. There is no reasoning with it, no communicating with it. It is pure destruction. But Jinwoo was watching carefully. Something about the creature's movements seemed familiar, the way it turned its head, the way it reached out toward things. It reminded him of something, but he couldn't figure out what. How long has it been making those sounds? He asked. Since it broke free, non-stop, always the same pattern. The same pattern? Dr. Yunji looked interested. What kind of pattern? Come. I will show you our recordings. They went to the control room where other aliens were working frantically at computers. There were Kresh with their insect-like bodies and Nethians who looked like clouds of gas in environmental suits. All of them looked scared. Kekstara played the recordings of the creature's sounds. The noise was loud and harsh, but underneath it, Jinwoo could hear something else. Something that sounded almost like music. That thing cannot be tamed, said one of the Kresh scientists. We have tried everything. It responds to nothing. Jinwoo listened to the recordings again. There was definitely a pattern there. A rhythm. Almost like the creature was trying to say something. I want to get closer to it, he said. Everyone in the room turned to look at him. Kekstara's 4 eyes went wide with shock. Captain, that would be suicide. The creature will kill you instantly. Maybe, Jinwoo said, but maybe not. I think there's more to this than we're seeing. The station shook again as another sonic pulse hit the walls. Somewhere below them, the resonance beast continued its strange and deadly song. The station shook again, harder this time. Emergency lights flickered as another powerful sound wave crashed through the walls. Jinwoo grabbed onto a nearby railing to keep his balance. The other aliens in the control room looked more frightened than before. Level 14 is completely destroyed now, reported one of the Kresh scientists. His insect-like voice clicked through the translator. The creature is moving faster. It will reach the main power core in less than 3 hours. Kekstara turned to Jinwoo with all 4 of his eyes wide with panic. Captain, you must understand something. That thing down there cannot be tamed. We have been studying it for many cycles of our planet's rotation. It is not truly alive in any way we can understand. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Yuanji. She was still looking at the data screens, trying to make sense of the creature's behavior patterns. It is pure elemental force, Kekstara explained. His 4 arms moved as he talked, making gestures that showed his fear. Crystallized. Hatred and rage, it has no thoughts, no feelings, no desires except to destroy everything around it. Jinwoo watched through the observation window as the creature moved through the chamber below. Its crystal body caught the emergency lights and threw them back in beautiful colors. Red, blue, green, and yellow patterns danced across the walls. But wherever the creature stepped, metal bent and broke. Have you tried talking to it? Jinwoo asked. One of the Nethian scientists floated closer. The gas-like being spoke through a special voice box. We tried everything, human. Verbal communication in over 200 languages. Mathematical sequences, musical tones, light patterns. Chemical signals, nothing works. Every time we attempt contact, it responds with violence, added Kexthara. It knows we are there. It sees us, but it does not care. It exists only to destroy. Sumin looked at the damage reports on her portable screen. According to these readings, it's been making the same sound pattern for 18 hours straight. Doesn't that seem strange for something that only wants to destroy? The pattern is meaningless, said a crash scientist. We have analyzed it completely. There is no structure, no language, no message, just noise that breaks our equipment. Hanki was studying the technical specifications of the creature. These readings show it's incredibly old. The crystal structure suggests it could be thousands of years old. Maybe more. Yes, Kexthara nodded sadly. We found it on Kepler 442c, the third planet in this system. The entire world was dead. Every plant, every animal, every microorganism was gone. Only this creature remained, standing alone in an empty city. What happened to the planet? Dr. Yunji asked. We do not know. The destruction was complete, but it was very old. Maybe the creature destroyed everything. Maybe it was the last survivor of some terrible disaster. Either way, it has been alone for a very long time. Jinwoo felt something stir in his chest. He had been alone before, during his early days as a space trader. He remembered how it felt to go weeks without hearing another voice. But thousands of years? That was beyond imagination. Show me the recordings again, he said. Kexthara played the sound files. The creature's voice filled the room, loud, harsh, and seemingly chaotic. But Jinwoo closed his eyes and listened more carefully. There was something underneath the harsh noise, something that sounded almost sad. You hear it too, don't you? Said Dr. Yunji quietly. There's something there. Something we're missing. You're both wrong, said Kexthara firmly. There is nothing there but destruction. Look. He switched the screen to show a recording from earlier. The creature was standing near a wall covered with scientific equipment. It reached out with one crystalline arm and touched a delicate sensor. A ray. The moment it made contact, the equipment shattered into tiny pieces. See? It destroys everything it touches. Even when it moves slowly and carefully, destruction follows. But look at how it moves, Jinwoo said. It's not random, it's graceful. Like it's trying not to break things. Impossible, said one of. The crash, the destruction is constant, complete. Another tremor ran through the station. This one was different from the others. Instead of the sharp crack of breaking metal, it was a deep, resonant hum that seemed to come from everywhere at once. What was that? Asked Sumin. The creature is getting stronger, Kexthara said. As it destroys more of the station, its sonic abilities increase. The metal and crystal in our walls amplify its voice. Jinwoo walked closer to the observation window. The creature was directly below them now, only 2 levels down. Up close, he could see details that hadn't been visible before. The crystal wasn't just one solid piece. It was made of thousands of smaller crystals that moved and shifted like living tissue. Has anyone ever tried to go down there and face it directly? He asked. Every alien in the room stopped what they were doing and stared at him. The silence stretched on for several seconds before Kexthara finally spoke. Captain Jinwoo, that would be immediate death. The creature's sonic pulses at close range would destroy your body in seconds. The harmonic frequencies would shatter every bone in your skeleton. 3 of our best researchers tried to approach it when it first broke containment, added a Nethian scientist. They were wearing our strongest protective suits. The creature looked at them for exactly 2.3 seconds, then made a sound that turned their equipment into dust. What happened to the researchers? Dr. Yunji asked. They survived, but barely. They were found unconscious 50 meters away. The sound had somehow pushed them back without killing them. Jinwoo found that detail interesting. The creature could have killed them easily, but it didn't, it just pushed them away. Maybe it was trying to protect them, he said. Protect them? Kexthara's voice rose to a higher pitch. It was trying to destroy them, just like it destroys everything else. Then why didn't it? Jinwoo asked. You said it could have killed them easily, but it chose not to. The aliens looked at each other with confusion. They had not thought about it that way before. Perhaps its aim was poor, suggested a Crush. Scientist. Or perhaps it was showing mercy, Jinwoo said quietly. Mercy? Kexthara shook his head with all four eyes blinking rapidly. Captain, you do not understand. This creature is not capable of mercy. It is not capable of any emotion except rage. We have studied it for cycles. We know what it is. Do you? Jinwoo asked. Or do you know what you think it is? The station shook again. This time the sound was different, softer, almost musical. For just a moment it sounded like the creature was singing instead of screaming. I'm going down there, Jinwoo said. Captain, no, Sumin grabbed his arm. It's too dangerous. You cannot, Kexthara said firmly. I will not allow it. You will die, and then we will have two problems instead of one. Two problems? Dr. Yuanji asked. Yes, a dead human and a creature that is still destroying our station. Jinwoo looked at his crew. Sumin looked worried. Hyan-Ki looked curious but scared. Dr. Yunji looked excited and terrified at the same time. I have to try, Jinwoo said. There's something we're missing here. Something important. What could you possibly do that we have not already tried? ASCII EX single quotes Jin-Woo thought about that for a moment. What could humans do that other species couldn't? What made them different? Maybe, he said slowly, the problem isn't what we're doing. Maybe the problem is how we're thinking about it. The creature's voice echoed through the station again. This time, Jinwoo was sure he heard something like music in the sound, something beautiful and sad and lonely. That thing cannot be tamed, Kexthara said again. Remember that, Captain. It cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be controlled. It can only destroy. But Jinwoo was no longer listening to the alien's warnings. He was listening to the creature's song. Jinwoo stood at the equipment locker, putting on his basic environmental suit. His hands moved steadily, but his mind was racing. Every alien on the station thought he was about to commit suicide. Maybe they were right. Maybe they were wrong. He would find out soon enough. Captain, please reconsider this, Sumin said for the 10th time. She stood behind him, her face full of worry. We could try other methods first. Long-range communication attempts. Better analysis of the sound. Patterns. We don't have time, Jinwoo replied, checking his suit's air supply. The creature will reach the power core in 2 hours. After that, the station explodes and everyone dies. Hyan-Ki was running calculations on his portable computer. The structural integrity is failing faster than we thought. Level 13 just lost main support beam 7. The whole section could collapse at any moment. Dr. Yunji was studying the creature's movement patterns on her screen. Jinwoo, if you're really going to do this, you should know something. The creature hasn't moved randomly through the station. It's following a specific path. What kind of path? Jinwoo asked, sealing his helmet. It's moving toward the outer hull. Specifically, toward the observation deck that faces the planet below. It's not trying to destroy the station's core. It's trying to get somewhere. This information made Jinwoo pause. If the creature wanted to destroy everything, why would it? Be moving toward the outer hull? Why would it care about looking at the planet? Kexthara burst into the equipment room, all 4 of his arms moving frantically. Captain Jinwoo, you cannot do this. I forbid it. This is madness. You can't stop. Me, Jinwoo said calmly. This is my choice. Then I will seal the access tunnels to level 13. You will not be able to reach the creature. Jinwoo turned to face the alien station director. Kexthara, listen to me. In 2 hours, this station will be destroyed. Everyone on board will die. My way might not work, but at least it's something we haven't tried yet. Your way will result in your death and change nothing. Maybe, but what if I'm right? What if there's more to this creature than pure destruction? Kextharas' 4 eyes blinked rapidly. He was clearly struggling with the decision. Finally, he stepped aside. I cannot stop a human from being foolish. But when you die, do not blame me for not warning you. Jinwoo walked toward the access tunnel that led to level 13. His crew followed him to the entrance. The tunnel was dark and filled with floating debris. Emergency lights cast red shadows on the twisted metal walls. If something goes wrong, get everyone off the station, Jinwoo told his crew. Don't wait for me. We're not leaving without you, Sumin said firmly. That's an order. Then it's an order we're going to ignore, Hyenki said with a small smile. Jinwoo felt a warmth in his chest. His crew was good people, the best he had ever worked with. He hoped he would see them again. The access tunnel was a nightmare of bent metal and sparking wires. Jinwoo had to crawl through spaces that were barely wide enough for his body. The creature's sonic attacks had twisted everything into strange shapes. But the path was still passable. As he got closer to level 13, the sounds grew louder. Not just the harsh sonic pulses, but something underneath them. Something that definitely sounded like music. Sad, lonely music that seemed to come from deep inside the creature's crystal body. Jinwoo reached the entrance to level 13 and looked through a crack in the door. The corridor beyond was completely destroyed. Walls had been torn apart. The ceiling had collapsed in several places. But the creature was nowhere to be seen. He opened the door carefully and stepped into the ruined hallway. His boots crunched on broken glass and twisted metal. The air was filled with a strange humming sound that seemed to come from everywhere at once, following the path of destruction. Jinwoo made his way toward the outer sections of the station. The damage got worse as he went. Entire rooms had been opened to space, their contents sucked out into the vacuum. Only the emergency force fields kept the atmosphere from escaping completely. Then he heard it. A sound that was different from all the others. It was still loud and powerful, but it wasn't harsh. It was beautiful. Like someone singing a song of incredible sadness. Jinwoo turned a corner and saw the creature for the first time up close. It was even more magnificent than it had appeared on the viewing screens. 30 meters of living crystal that seemed to glow with its own inner light. Every surface was perfectly smooth and clear, like the finest gemstone that had ever existed. The creature's body was constantly shifting and changing, crystals growing and shrinking as it moved. But what struck Jinwoo most was not the creature's size or beauty. It was the way it was standing. The great being was pressed against the outer observation window, looking out at the planet below. Its crystal hands were placed flat against the transparent aluminum, and its head was tilted as if it was trying to see something very far away. The creature was singing. There was no other word for it. The sounds coming from its crystal body were definitely music. Slow, mournful music that spoke of loss and longing and endless loneliness. Jinwoo stood very still, not wanting to disturb the moment. He watched as the creature continued its song, its crystal body pulsing gently with each note. For several minutes, nothing happened. The creature sang, and Jinwoo listened. Then the great being noticed him. It turned slowly, its massive head swiveling until it was looking directly at Jinwoo. Up close, he could see that the creature had something like eyes, deep, dark spaces in its crystal face that seemed to hold ancient wisdom and infinite sadness. Jinwoo expected to die. Every alien on the station had warned him that this would happen. The creature would see him and attack instantly with sonic pulses that would tear his body apart. Instead, the creature simply stood there and looked at him. The silence stretched on for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Jinwoo could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. He could hear the quiet hum of his environmental suit's life support systems. But the creature made no sound at all. Then, very carefully, Jinwoo sat down on the debris-covered floor. It was not what anyone would have expected a human to do when facing a 30-meter monster. Most people would have run away screaming. Some might have tried to fight. A few might have attempted to communicate with words or gestures, but Jinwoo simply sat. Down and began to hum. He chose a simple tune, something his mother had sung to him when he was very small. A lullaby about stars and dreams and finding your way home. He hummed it softly, barely loud enough for his own ears to hear. The creature's reaction was immediate and startling. It stopped moving completely. Its crystal body went perfectly still. Even its inner glow seemed to dim as it focused all of its attention on the small human sitting on the floor. Jin-Woo continued humming, adding small variations to the melody. Sometimes he went higher, sometimes lower. Sometimes he added little flourishes that his mother had never taught him. He was improvising, creating something new based on something old and familiar, and the creature began to respond. At first, it was just a low vibration that Jinwoo could feel through the floor. Then it became a soft hum that matched his own. The great being was trying to sing along with him, trying to copy the melody he was creating, but the creature's voice was so powerful that even its gentlest sounds made the walls shake. When it tried to hum softly, windows cracked. When it attempted to match Jinwoo's pitch, metal panels bent out of shape. The creature seemed to realize this. It stopped trying to sing and simply listened. But Jinwoo could see something in its crystal features that had not been there before. Hope. For the first time in possibly thousands of years, the creature was hearing music that was not its own. It was not alone anymore. Jinwoo continued his quiet lullaby. And 30 meters above him, a being of living crystal discovered what it meant to have a friend. In the control room, 12 levels above. Dr. Yunji watched her sensors in amazement. The destructive sonic pulses have stopped completely, she whispered. Whatever Jinwoo is doing, it's working. The creature stood perfectly still, listening to Jinwoo's gentle humming. For the first time since breaking free from containment, its destructive sonic pulses had completely stopped. The station was quiet except for the soft melody coming from the small human sitting on the debris-covered floor. Jin-Woo slowly changed his tune, adding new notes and rhythms. He watched the creature's reaction carefully. Every time he introduced a new musical idea, the great being would tilt its massive crystal head, as if trying to understand what it was hearing. In the control room far above, the alien scientists stared at their monitoring screens in complete disbelief. "Impossible," whispered Kexthara. "The readings show zero destructive activity. The creature has gone completely silent." Dr. Yunji was studying the harmonic analysis charts. "It's not just silent. Look at these patterns." The creature is trying to match Jinwoo's musical frequencies, but it's modulating its own voice to avoid damaging the station structure. "You mean it's learning to sing quietly?" asked Sumin through the communication system. "More than that. It's learning to communicate without destroying everything around it." A Kresh scientist clicked nervously with his insect-like voice. "This contradicts everything we know about the creature. Our research shows it is incapable of learning or adaptation." "Maybe our research was wrong," said Hyeon-ki. "Maybe we were studying the creature's reactions to imprisonment, not its true nature." Down on level 13, Jinwoo was discovering something remarkable. The creature wasn't just listening to his music, it was trying to create music of its own. Very carefully, the great being began to make soft sounds that harmonized with Jinwoo's humming. At first, the creature's attempts were clumsy. Its voice was so powerful that even whispers caused small vibrations in the walls. But it kept trying, adjusting its volume and pitch until it found a level that wouldn't cause destruction. Jinwoo smiled inside his helmet. He began to hum a different melody, something more complex with multiple layers of harmony. The creature followed along, adding its own voice to create beautiful combinations of sound. "It's working," Dr. Yunji said excitedly into her communicator. "Jinwoo, the creature is learning to modulate its voice. The harmonic patterns are becoming more sophisticated." Through his suit's communication system, Jinwoo could hear his crew and the alien scientists talking. But he kept his focus on the creature. Something was happening here that was bigger than just music. The great being was trying to tell him something. The creature's crystal body began to change color as it sang. Soft blues and greens flowed through its transparent structure, creating patterns that matched the rhythm of the music. Jinwoo realized that for this being, music wasn't just sound. It was light and color and movement all combined together. Encouraged by this discovery, Jinwoo stood up slowly. The creature watched his every movement but showed no signs of aggression. Jinwoo began to move his arms in time with the music, creating simple gestures that matched the melody. The creature responded immediately. Its massive crystal arms began to move in similar patterns, copying Jinwoo's gestures but making them larger and more graceful. Soon, both human and creature were dancing together, their movements synchronized with the music they were creating. "This is incredible," breathed Dr. Yunji. "The creature isn't just intelligent, it's artistic. It's been trying to create art this whole time." "Art?" Kexthara's four eyes blinked rapidly. "You think the destruction was artistic expression? Think about it. A being that communicates through sound and color and movement, trapped in a small containment chamber. Of course it would seem destructive to us. It was trying to express itself in the only way it knew how." In the observation chamber, one of the Nethaeon scientists floated closer to the monitoring equipment. "If this is true, then we have been torturing the creature. We have been preventing it from doing the thing that is most natural to it. We were studying it," insisted a Kresh researcher. "We were trying to understand it, were we?" asked Dr. Unji. "Or were we just looking at it like a specimen in a laboratory?" Down on level 13, Jinwoo was having the same realization. The creature had been alone on a dead planet for thousands of years. When the Valdorians found it, they had brought it to their station and put it in a cage. No wonder it had seemed angry and destructive. It wasn't trying to destroy anything. It was trying to communicate. It was trying to sing. Jinwoo gradually made his humming more complex, introducing melodies that told stories. A tune that suggested flying through space. Another that felt like dancing on a planet's surface. A third that seemed to speak of loneliness and the joy of finding a friend. The creature followed every musical story, adding its own harmonies and interpretations. Its crystal body flowed with colors that matched the emotions in the music. Deep purple for sadness, bright gold for happiness, soft green for hope. But the most amazing thing was what happened when Jinwoo introduced a melody that sounded like a question. The creature paused, seemed to consider the musical inquiry, and then responded with its own melodic phrase that clearly functioned as an answer. "They're talking," Sumin whispered. "They're actually having a conversation through music?" "More than talking," said Dr. Yunji. "They're sharing ideas. Look at the harmonic complexity. The creature is telling Jinwoo about itself." Through the musical conversation, Jinwoo began to understand the creature's story. It had once lived on a world full of beings like itself. They had created incredible music together, songs that could be seen and felt as well as heard. But something had happened to their world. A disaster that had destroyed everything except this one survivor. The creature's music became sad as it shared this part of its story. The colors in its crystal body turned to deep blues and grays. Jinwoo responded with a melody of sympathy and comfort, and the creature's colors began to brighten again. "How long has it been alone?" Jinwoo asked through his music. The creature's response was a long, complex melody that seemed to go on forever. As it played, Jinwoo understood that the being had been alone for longer than human civilization had existed. Longer than humans had even evolved from their ancient ancestors. "Thousands of years," Jinwoo whispered. "Maybe tens of thousands." The creature heard him speak and tilted its head curiously. Jinwoo realized it had never heard spoken language. Before, he said a few more words and the creature tried to copy the sounds. Its attempts at speech created small harmonic vibrations that were actually quite beautiful. "It's trying to learn our language now," reported Dr. Yunji. The vocal pattern analysis shows it's attempting to reproduce human speech sounds, but music remained their primary form of communication. Through songs and melodies, Jinwoo learned that the creature had a name. It was a complex musical phrase that lasted nearly 30 seconds and included harmonies that human vocal cords could never produce. But within that musical name, Jinwoo heard something that reminded him of flowing water and singing crystals. What should we call you? He asked through a simple musical question. The creature responded with a shorter, simpler version of its name. A melody that sounded like wind chimes mixed with the sound of ocean waves. It was beautiful and peaceful and somehow familiar. Jinwoo smiled. He had an idea for what to call this magnificent being. But first, he wanted to be sure he understood what it was trying to tell him through their musical conversation. The creature explained that it had been trying to reach the observation window, not to escape, but to see the planet below. The world reminded it of its lost home. It had been singing to the planet, hoping that somehow other beings like itself might hear and respond. You weren't trying to destroy the station, Jinwoo realized. You were trying to get to a place where you could sing to the stars. The creature's response was a melody of agreement and gratitude. Someone finally understood. In the control room above, even Kexthara was beginning to see the truth. We have made a terrible mistake, he said quietly. This being is not a monster. It is an artist who has been alone for far too long. What do we do now? Asked one of the creche scientists. Dr. Yunji was watching the harmonic patterns on her screen. They showed two beings in perfect musical harmony, sharing thoughts and emotions through sound. Now we listen, she said, and we learn. Jinwoo and the creature had been making music together for over an hour. Their songs had grown more complex and beautiful with each passing minute. The great crystal being was no longer the frightening monster that had terrorized the station. It was an artist, a storyteller, a friend who had been waiting thousands of years for someone to understand. Through their musical conversation, Jinwoo had learned many things about the creature's past. Its people had been master musicians who created songs so beautiful they could heal the sick and make plants grow faster. They had built cities that sang in harmony with the wind. They had turned their entire world into one giant musical instrument, but something had gone wrong. The creature's music became sad when it told this part of the story. A great silence had come to its world. Not just quiet, but a terrible emptiness that had consumed all sound, all music, all life. The creature had survived only because it had been deep underground when the silence came, protected by layers of crystal and stone. When it finally emerged, its world was dead. Every tree, every flower, every bird, every other member of its species was gone. The creature had been alone ever since, wandering through the empty ruins of its civilization, singing to the stars and hoping someone might hear. That's why it came with the Valdorians so easily, Dr. Yunji realized from the control room. It wasn't captured. It chose to come with them because they were the first living beings it had encountered in thousands of years. And we put it in a cage, Kexthara said quietly. All four of his eyes were dim with shame. We treated a refugee like a prisoner. Jinwoo could feel the creature's loneliness through their music. It was like a deep, cold ocean that went down. Forever, no human could truly understand what it meant to be alone for so long. But Jinwoo could try to comfort it, and that was what he did. He played melodies of friendship and companionship, songs about finding family among strangers, tunes that spoke of hope and new beginnings. The creature responded eagerly, its crystal body glowing brighter with each note. But there was still something missing from their communication. Jinwoo could sense it in the creature's music. It was holding something back, some part of itself that it was afraid to share. Jin-Woo stood up slowly and walked closer to the massive crystal being. The creature watched him approach but showed no fear. When Jinwoo was close enough to touch its smooth, glowing surface, he stopped and looked up into its ancient, wise eyes. What is your name? He asked, both in words and in music. The creature's response was immediate and overwhelming. It began to sing its true name, the one its people had given it long ago when the universe was younger and its world was full of life and music. The name was incredible. It lasted for minutes and involved harmonies that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The creature's entire body became an instrument, with different crystals producing different tones. The song told the story of its birth, its childhood. Among the singing cities, its role as a keeper of ancient melodies, and its endless sorrow at being the last of its kind. But within all that complex music, Jinwoo heard something simpler. a core melody that repeated throughout the longer song. It sounded like water flowing over crystal formations, like wind singing through crystal caves, like the gentle chiming of crystal bells in a peaceful garden. Harmony, Jinwoo whispered. The creature stopped singing. Its entire massive body went perfectly still. The word had reached it, not just as sound but as recognition, as understanding, as the first time in thousands of years that someone had truly heard its name and understood what it meant. Jinwoo placed his hand on the creature's crystal surface. The contact created a resonance that filled the entire station with the most beautiful sound anyone had ever heard. It was music, but it was more than music. It was the sound of loneliness ending, of friendship beginning, of two very different beings recognizing each other as equals. Your name is Harmony, Jinwoo said again. Louder this time. The creature's response shook the entire station, but not with destructive force. With joy, pure, overwhelming joy that had been locked away for millennia and was finally free to express itself. In the control room, every alien scientist stood transfixed as their instruments recorded the most complex and beautiful sound patterns they had ever detected. The creature's song of happiness was so powerful that it was actually strengthening the station's hull, causing the molecular bonds in the metal to resonate at frequencies that made them stronger instead of weaker. Incredible, breathed Dr. Yunji. The creature's song is repairing the damage it caused earlier. The station is actually becoming more structurally sound. How is that possible? Asked Taeyong-ki. Music at the right frequency can affect matter at the molecular level. The creature has perfect control over its voice. It can destroy or create depending on what it chooses to do. Sumin was studying the sensor readings. The power fluctuations in the station have stabilized. Whatever Jinwoo did, it worked. Down on level 13, Jinwoo was experiencing something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. Harmony had lowered her massive crystal head until it was level with his own. They were looking directly into each other's eyes, human and crystal being, sharing a moment of perfect understanding. You have a beautiful name, Jinwoo said softly. Harmony's response was a gentle melody that sounded like gratitude and wonder. No one had spoken her name with kindness for so long that she had almost forgotten what it felt like to be recognized as an individual rather than a thing. But names were more than just words. They were connections between beings. They were acknowledgments of identity and worth. When Jinwoo spoke Harmony's name, he was telling her that she mattered, that she was not just a specimen to be studied or a problem to be solved. She was a person. Harmony began to sing again, but this time her song was different. It was not the desperate cry of a being trying to communicate with a universe that wouldn't listen. It was not the angry roar of a prisoner demanding freedom. It was the gentle, hopeful song of someone who had found a friend. The song reached every corner of the research station. It flowed through the corridors and into the rooms where the alien scientists worked. It touched the hearts of beings who had never heard such music before and might never hear it again. It's so beautiful, whispered one of the Nephian scientists. How could we have thought it was trying to hurt us? Because we were afraid, admitted Kexthara. And fear makes us see monsters where there are only people we don't understand. Jinwoo felt something change in the air around him. Harmony's song was affecting the very atmosphere of the station, creating currents of sound that seemed to carry healing and peace. The emergency lights stopped flashing. The warning alarms went silent. For the first time since Harmony had broken free from containment, the research station felt safe. What happens now? Jinwoo asked, directing the question both to Harmony and to the listening scientists above. Harmony's musical response was complex, but Jinwoo understood the basic meaning. She didn't want to leave. Not because she was trapped, but because she had finally found people who accepted her. The research station could become her new home if the people there were willing to have her. We would be honored to have you stay, Kexthara said over the communication system. But not as a research subject, as a member of our community. Harmony's song of joy in response to those words was so beautiful that several of the alien scientists began to cry. They had tears of happiness, but also tears of shame for how they had treated her before. Jinwoo smiled as he listened to Harmony's music. She was no longer the last of her kind because she had found a new kind of family. Different from her original people, but loving in their own way. "Welcome home, Harmony," he said. And in the depths of space, a being who had been alone for thousands of years finally knew what it meant to belong somewhere again. 3 days had passed since Jinwoo first spoke Harmony's name. The research station had become a completely different place. Where once there had been fear and destruction, now there was music and wonder. Harmony had not only stopped causing damage to the station, she had begun using her incredible abilities to help repair it. Jin-Woo stood in the main observation deck, watching Harmony work on the outer hull. Her massive crystal form moved gracefully through space, protected by a special energy field that the Valdorian engineers had created for her. She sang as she worked, and her songs had the power to heal metal and strengthen damaged structures. "The hull repairs are proceeding faster than we ever imagined possible," reported Hyun-ki. He was monitoring the work from the engineering station. "Harmony's sonic abilities can actually improve the molecular structure of our building materials. The station is becoming stronger than it was when it was first built." Dr. Yoon-ji was documenting everything for the scientific community. Her reports would change how the galaxy understood the relationship between music, matter, and consciousness. "She's not just repairing the station," she said with excitement. "She's turning it into a work of art. Look at these structural patterns." On her screen, she showed the others how Harmony had arranged the hull repairs. The new metal sections formed beautiful geometric patterns that were both functional and decorative. The station now looked like a giant musical instrument floating in space. Kexthara approached Jinwoo, walking more slowly than usual. The Valdorian station director had been deeply affected by the events of the past few days. His understanding of intelligence, consciousness, and personhood had been completely changed. "Captain Jinwoo," he said, all 4 of his eyes focused on the human. "I must ask you something that has been troubling me since you first entered Harmony's chamber." "What's that?" Jinwoo asked. "How did you know? How did you recognize that Harmony was a person when all of us saw only a monster?" Jinwoo thought about the question for a long time before answering. It was something he had been wondering about himself. What made humans different? What allowed them to see beyond surface appearances? "I think," he said slowly, "it's because humans know what it's like to be misunderstood. We've all felt lonely or afraid or angry at some point. When I saw Harmony breaking through the station, I didn't see a monster trying to destroy things. I saw someone who was trapped and desperate and trying to communicate in the only way they knew how." "But we are all capable of loneliness and fear," said one of the creche scientists who had joined the conversation. "Why did we not recognize these emotions in Harmony?" "Maybe because you were too focused on studying her instead of listening to her," suggested Sunin. "Humans have a saying, you can't understand someone until you walk in their shoes." Jinwoo didn't try to analyze Harmony, he tried to connect with her. Dr. Yoonji looked up from her work. "There's something else too. Humans seem to have an instinct for recognizing personhood in unusual forms. Throughout your history, you've formed bonds with other species, adopted abandoned animals, even talked to inanimate objects as if they were alive. You look for consciousness everywhere." "That's true," Jinwoo agreed. "We assume that if something responds to us, it might be trying to communicate. We give things names and treat them like individuals before we even know if they are individuals." Kexthara's 4 eyes blinked thoughtfully. "So when you heard Harmony's sounds, you assumed they might be attempts at communication rather than random noise." "Exactly. And when I sat down and started humming, I was offering her a way to communicate that didn't require destroying anything." A new voice joined the conversation. It was Harmony herself, speaking through the translation system that Dr. Yoonji had developed. The system converted Harmony's musical language into words that the other species could understand. Jinwoo gave Me something I had forgotten existed, Harmony's translated voice said. Hope, for thousands of years I sang to empty space, believing that no one would ever hear me or understand me. When Jinwoo sang back to me, I remembered what it felt like to have a conversation with another conscious being. What will you do now? Asked Kekstara. You are free to leave whenever you choose. We will not try to stop you or study you against your will. Harmony's response came as both music and translated words. I would like to stay here if you will have me. This station can become a place where different species learn to understand each other. I can help with that. How? Asked the Kresh scientist. Music is a universal language. Every species that has achieved consciousness has some form of music or rhythm in their culture. I can teach others to communicate across species barriers the way Jinwoo and I learned to communicate. Jinwoo smiled. It was a beautiful idea, and it would ensure that Harmony never had to be alone again. Over the next few hours, the research station began to transform in ways that no one had expected. Harmony used her abilities to create special chambers where different species could meet and learn to make music together. The Valdorians discovered that their 4 arms allowed them to create complex rhythmic patterns. The Kresh found that their clicking sounds could be turned into percussion music. The Nethians learned to modulate their gaseous forms to create haunting melodies. It's working, Dr. Yunji reported to the others. The different species are actually learning to communicate through music. They're sharing ideas and emotions that they could never express through normal translation systems. Jinwoo watched as a young Valdorian scientist attempted to teach a Kresh researcher a simple melody. Both beings were laughing, or making their species equivalent of laughter, as they struggled with the unfamiliar sounds. It was the first time Jinwoo had ever seen members of different alien species truly enjoying each other's company. You've created something amazing here, Jinwoo told Harmony through their musical communication system. We created it together, Harmony replied. You taught me that communication requires 2 participants, one to speak and one to listen. For thousands of years I was only speaking. You were the first to truly listen. What about your original people? Jinwoo asked. Do you think there might be others like you somewhere in the galaxy? Harmony's music became thoughtful and hopeful. Perhaps, and if there are, they will hear the music coming from this station. They will know that they are not alone. As if to emphasize her point, Harmony began to sing a new song. It was different from her previous music, louder, more complex, designed to travel far through space. It was a signal song, a beacon that would let any surviving members of her species know that they had found friends among the stars. The song was so beautiful that it brought tears to Jinwoo's eyes, but it was also powerful enough to reach across light years of empty space, carrying a message of hope and friendship to anyone who might be listening. That thing can't be tamed, Jinwoo said quietly, remembering Kekstara's original warning. What did you say? Asked Su-min. Jin-Woo smiled. I was just thinking about what Kekstara told me when this all started. He said that Harmony couldn't be tamed. He was right. Right? You can't tame a person. You can only be their friend. Harmony was never tamed. She chose to trust us because we finally treated her like the intelligent, feeling individual she always was. Kekstara approached them, his 4 eyes bright with understanding. I think I'm beginning to comprehend what makes humans special in this galaxy. You do not try to control what you do not understand. You try to befriend it. Not always, Jinwoo admitted. Humans make mistakes too, but we try to learn from them. As the day ended, Jinwoo prepared to leave the research station with his crew. Their original mission had been completed in a way that none of them had expected. They had not solved a problem through force or technology. They had solved it through empathy and understanding. Will we see you again? Harmony asked through her translator. Absolutely, Jinwoo promised. This is just the beginning. Word will spread about what happened here. Other species will come to learn from you. You'll have more friends than you know what to do with. I hope so, Harmony replied. I have much music to share, and I have been saving it up for a very long time. As the stellar dawn departed from the research station, Jinwoo looked back through the viewport. Harmony was floating in space near the station, her crystal body glowing with inner light as she sang her beacon song to the stars around the station. Ships from different species were already arriving, drawn by reports of the miraculous communication breakthrough. "She's going to change everything," Dr. Yunji said softly. "The way species interact, the way we understand consciousness, the way we explore the galaxy. Everything will be different because one human decided to sit down and hum a lullaby." Jinwoo nodded, but he knew the truth was more complex than that. Harmony had changed everything because she had been willing to trust, to hope, and to share her incredible gift with others. All Jinwoo had done was listen, and sometimes listening was the most powerful thing anyone could do. In the depths of space, Harmony's song continued to spread outward, carrying a message that resonated across the galaxy. No one had to be alone anymore. Somewhere among the stars, there were always friends waiting to be found.